Hello to those of you watching the Jets and Bengals. Bob Costas back in New York. They have 49 seconds to play in the first half at the Hoosier Dome, and the Colts are in front of the Oilers there, 21-10. Big first half for Eric Dickerson. Let's take a look at some of the highlights. A week ago, Jerry Glanville's Oilers were clobbered at home by the Browns, and they're not having much luck on the road here today against the Colts. Watch Matt Bouza spring Dickerson here with a key block, and Dickerson goes 19 yards, capping the opening drive for the Colts, and they take a 7-0 lead. A bit later on, they're in front 7-3 following a Tony Zendejas field goal when Gary Hogaboom backpedals, pumps once, and then lofts one over the defense to Albert Bentley, who outruns two defenders to the end zone to complete a 72-yard play for a 14-3 lead. Subsequently, Dickerson scored from 13 yards out after Alan Pinkett fumbled on the kickoff, and the Colts recovered. So at that point, it was 21-3. Warren Moon came back with a 7-yarder to Drew Hill to pull the Oilers a bit closer. Green Bay and the Bears have gone to the half at Soldier Field. You'll recall that the Packers played them tough up in Green Bay the last time, and it required a Kevin Butler field goal of 50 yards or so on the game's last play for the Bears to pull it out. Here it's 10-10. Jim McMahon has thrown a 20-yarder to Neil Anderson for the one touchdown for the Bears. The #1 pick of the Packers, Brent Fullwood, had a 1-yard scoring run for them in the first quarter. That play set up by a 66-yard catch and run by Walter Stanley. The Bills are in front of the Dolphins at halftime in rainy Buffalo. 21-0 is the score in this game. Dan Marino comes in with a slight trace of the flu, but Don Shula told us on the pregame show it wouldn't hamper his performance, so that can't be used as an excuse. Here's Jamie Mueller rambling 5 yards for a touchdown, a 7-0 Bill lead. And check out the banner at Rich Stadium. Squish the fish. And that they have done. They beat them in overtime at Joe Robbie Stadium earlier, lead them by 21 at the half here. Here's Kelly rolling left. Butch Roll makes his first catch of the year, and it's good for a touchdown and a 14-0 lead. Then just before halftime, they bring it to 21-zip. Chris Burkett on the receiving end. Kelly out of the shotgun. Nice catch as he tumbles backward next to two defenders for the score. 21-0 Buffalo in this one. Kelly 10 of 11 for 145 yards and a pair of touchdowns in the first half. Marino 6 of 14 for 75 yards. Ronnie Harmon carried 16 times for 98 yards in the Buffalo offensive during the first half. Philadelphia and the Patriots at Foxborough. The Eagles lead this one 17-10. Randall Cunningham has run for a touchdown and thrown 61 yards to Mike Quick for another. The Pittsburgh Steelers lead New Orleans 14-3. This one is at halftime at Three Rivers. Dwayne Woodruff has a 32-yard interception return for a score, and Walter Abercrombie a 5-yard run. In the game, you're watching the Jets with the 17-10 lead over Cincinnati at the half at the Meadowlands. And the Cardinals lead Atlanta near halftime. They have just gone to the half in Atlanta. 24-14. Check Neil Lomax's numbers. 16 of 25 for 280 yards in the first half and 2 touchdowns. And we'll continue with Frank DeFord following these messages from your local stations.
It's an all-new Unsolved Mysteries with host Robert Stack.
You may be able to help solve a mystery.
Help crack the mysterious legend of a Grand Canyon disappearance and a suspect on the run.
I want to get him.
The missing link you can provide on the real cases that really happened. After Beverly Hills Bunce, Unsolved Mysteries, tonight.
I'll be home for Christmas. You can plan on me.
There's someone you know who would love a Hess toy truck. This year, it's an 18-wheeler with working head, tail, and running lights, backup alert, oil drums, even a built-in bank.
I'll be home for Christmas.
The Hess truck, available at your Hess station. For over 20 years, it's been our way of bringing your children a happier holiday. Happy holidays from Hess.
Monday on Live at 5, actor Ed Harris.
Big change of pace now on NFL Live. We change sports and countries with Frank DeFord. Frank?
Thank you, Bob. We all appreciate that the world is growing more interrelated and that the United States is no longer the overwhelming economic power that it once was. Now baseball may teach us that lesson more vividly than the business pages. The Japanese major leagues have always refused to sign American stars in their prime. Each of the 12 Japanese teams can sign 2 foreigners, gaijin they're called, and traditionally they've opted for over-the-hill veterans or fringe major leaguers. But events have conspired to change that attitude, and now the Japanese seem prepared to seriously bid for top American free agents. 2 things have happened. In a very short period, the yen has doubled in value against the dollar, and the Japanese have moved heavily into buying quality American assets at essentially half price. Why not American ball players too? More specifically, when Bob Horner could not come to terms with Atlanta last year, the Yakult Swallows, one of the franchises in Tokyo, signed him for $2 million. It was a wonderful deal for everyone. Horner had a terrific season, and the Swallows' attendance went up 400,000, even though the team finished below 500. Marty Kunert, by far the most knowledgeable gaijin on the subject of Japanese baseball, tells me from Tokyo that the company that owns the Swallows even attributed its rise in the stock market largely to Horner's power and popularity. So, given this extraordinary success of the first American star to come to Japan in his prime, coupled with the decline of the dollar to record depths, the Japanese are ready to bid. Free agent hitters like Gary Gaetti, Paul Molitor, and Jack Clark can ring up the Lottie Orions, another Tokyo-based team, and figure on $3 million a year for openers. The Japanese were prepared to go upwards of $4 million for Cal Ripken Jr. before he signed for $1.7 million with the Orioles. Jack Morris has virtually been offered double or triple what any U.S. team appears prepared to pay him by the champion Yomiuri Giants. And the Swallows will have Horner back for better than $3 million a season on a 3-year contract if he wants to return. Horner's the man who started it all, and he's with us now from Texas. Bob, I hope you had a nice Thanksgiving back in America with your family. How are you feeling now? Are you prepared to sign with an American team, or do you think you're going to go back to Japan?
Well, I think that everything being equal, I would definitely want to pursue playing back in the United States again, but I'm not ruling out going back to Japan.
Well, the figure right now that people are talking about is that the Braves will pay you $1 million, and you can get $3 million in Japan. It's awfully hard to pass up $2 million, isn't it?
Well, you know, we all have to make decisions in our life, and some are tougher than others, obviously. But I played in Japan 1 year and may return, but I always dreamed about playing Major League Baseball, and I'd like to stay here in the States this year and play.
You had a great year last year, not only at the plate, but you were back at third base regularly and showed people you could do that again. Were there any problems on the field, or is it simply the cultural exchange that's the difficulty?
Well, it is the cultural, it is the whole lifestyle, the language barrier, and they have a little bit different way of approaching the game than we do here in the States. It's much more methodical, it's much more predictable in certain situations, but the bottom line is baseball is baseball.
If someone came to you, saw a free agent like Jack Morris or any one of the others, and asked you, Bob, what can I expect in Japan? What are the problems going to be? What kind of advice would you give him?
You know, you just have to understand that you are going halfway around the world to play baseball, and that the main reason you're going is obviously for the money. I'm going to be very frank. Some people can handle the cultural differences and some people can't. There's been probably, for every one ball player that's gone over there and succeeded, there's probably been 4 or 5 that haven't. So it's a very difficult transition, money or no money.
What was the single greatest problem that you suffered over there?
The language. It's not at all like the language, like say Spanish, where you can kind of pick up on some words because they're relatively similar to English. But to try to pick up the language, like to go to a restaurant and look at the menu, you can't understand it. To try to get in a cab and tell them where to go, you know, the obvious differences. It's very, very difficult.
Bob, when do you think you'll make your decision?
The winter meetings are coming up here in about 10 days. Fortune would have it that they're going to be here in Dallas in my back door. So, you know, probably I would say in the next 3 to 4 weeks, but that's going to all depend upon the free agent situation, and Lord only knows what's going to happen there.
Would you be surprised if they tried to sign some other free agents, whether or not you go along?
Are you talking about just Japan signing other free agents?
Yeah, I mean top ones, players like Gaetti and Molitor and Clark and Morris.
Oh, I think the door is definitely open. I think that alternative has been presented to a lot of ball players, and now it's just the ball's in these guys' courts. I mean, they have the opportunity. Now, will they do it? I think the opportunities are there, though.
Well, maybe you'll have some company back there this year. Thanks very much, Bob.
My pleasure.
If there is one joker in the deck to all this, though, it's this. The Japanese, by their character, tend to be deferential, and they've always treaded very softly with American baseball. Moreover, because the American commissioner, Peter Ueberroth, made his reputation on an international platform with the Olympics, the Japanese hold Ueberroth in even greater esteem. American agents believe that it will be simply enough for you, Barack, to shake